After French President Emmanuel Macron, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is flying to Ukraine and Russia this week in an effort to help defuse escalating tensions.
Ahead of his first visits as Chancellor to Kyiv on Monday and Moscow on Tuesday for meetings with Ukrainian and Russian presidents, Scholz has renewed his warning to Russia, as well as his advocacy of continuing diplomacy in multiple formats. During press conference in Berlin, Olaf Scholz says Russia invasion will lead to tough responses and sanctions. Earlier, Germany has called on its citizens to leave Ukraine as quickly as possible, as Western intelligence officials warn that Russian invasion of Ukraine is increasingly imminent.
Und deshalb ist es notwendig, klar zu sein, klar zu sagen, dass im Falle einer militärischen Aggression gegen die Ukraine, die ihre territoriale Integrität und ihre Souveränität gefährdet, das zu harten Reaktionen und Sanktionen führen wird, die wir sorgfältig vorbereitet haben und die wir sofort wirksam werden lassen können, zusammen mit unseren Verbündeten in Europa und in der NATO. Und die Ukraine kann sich sicher sein, dass wir ihr die nötige Solidarität zeigen, so wie auch in der Vergangenheit. Deutschland ist das Land mit der größten finanziellen Hilfe, die wir für die wirtschaftliche Stabilisierung der Ukraine auf den Weg gebracht haben, im Vergleich zu allen anderen. Und wir werden das auch weiter so halten und unseren Beitrag insoweit leisten.
Israel's Prime Minister urges Israel citizens to leave Ukraine as the threat of a possible invasion by Russia continue to grow. Bennett says Israel has increased the frequency of flights from Ukraine in order to assist Israeli citizens to leave the country.
Prime Minister Bennett calls again upon Israelis in Ukraine to come home and not to take any unnecessary risks. He warns Israel citizens in Ukraine not to wait for a situation and urges Israelis to leave Ukraine as quickly as possible. Western intelligence officials have warned in recent days that a Russian invasion of neighboring Ukraine is increasingly imminent. Earlier, Israel has already started bringing families of its diplomats back and has urged its citizens to leave the country.
לכן במהלך השבת שר החוץ ואני והצוותים שלנו דאגנו להגביר מאוד את קצב הטיסות לישראל.
Meanwhile, religious leaders urge all parties to solve the crisis between Russia and Ukraine through peaceful actions. The ecumenical patriarch of Constantinople Sunday urges dialogue and peace to resolve the crisis in Ukraine.
The spiritual leader of the world's Orthodox Christians, Patriarch Bartholomew I, warned the possibility of a new war in Europe should be opposed. He said during Mass in St. George's Church in Istanbul, Orthodox churches are called to prevent prayer for the preservation of peace in Ukraine. In 2018, the ecumenical Patriarch of Constantinople decided the independence of the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, which was formalized in 2019 and severed it from the Russian Church it had been tied to since 1686. The Russian Orthodox Church cut all ties with Constantinople because of that historic decision.
Meanwhile, in Basilica St. Peter, Rome, Pope Francis voiced a peace message over crisis in Ukraine. The Pope prayed for a peaceful political solution to tensions in Ukraine during his traditional Sunday blessings. Pope Francis says the news coming from Ukraine is very worrisome. He entrusts every effort for peace to the conscience of the political leaders.
È interessante notare che Gesù, pure se le notizie che giungono dall'Ucraina sono molto preoccupanti. Affido all'intercessione della